that record button, get into gallery view. All right, there we go, man.
Hey, what's up?
What's up, dude? How's it going, man? How's it going?
It is going well. I am sitting here with the world's crustiest arm of all time as this scabs and heals and does its thing. But it's pretty rad.
Hey, I get it, man. But look, you might be a Lambo, but I don't put bumper stickers on this Ferrari right here. So it's perfect as it is.
All perfect and complete. As you are.
No, I'm messing with you. Tattoos are dope. My girlfriend's covered in them. I think tattoos are sick. Yeah. Yeah, which is kind of a big deal for.
That's when I was talking to my Japanese teacher about this particular tattoo. She, kept saying "sugoi" over and over. It's very, very fascinating. But
I don't know what that means.
Sugoi is equivalent to like, holy shit, oh my gosh, that's incredible. Like, it's like their exclamation. But in Japan, the only people who have tattoos are Yakuza because they're so illegal. And so it's just very interesting, or not interesting. As an aside, thanks to you, I can attribute a many number of things to you. But the word interesting has been forever tainted. And every time I say it now, I'm like, God damn it, pick a different word.
That's not even from me, man.
No, it's that movie.
Yeah, exactly. That's not mine. So you got to take that's that movie. Well, it just begets an explanation, right? It's like, okay, well, what is? It's like telling me the end rather than kind of showing me the process. But telling the end can be like. That can be a part of the strategy of getting someone there. I just don't find it as skillful or have as much utility. It doesn't elicit the same emotional reaction.
It's almost like I know my experience has been with words like that, interesting, amazing, whatever. It's like I'm trying to hook, line, and sinker someone before I even tell them the story. Like I want their attention, I want their buy-in. Rather than just giving them the thing as it is.
Yeah, I find if I talk from my perspective and preface things with like in my experience and use words like me and I rather than you and telling people how they feel, there's a lot more resonance. So as an example, if you were to ask me a question like, how does X, Y, and Z do this? And someone immediately, and then I used to do this all the time, but like, well, you feel this way, and if you do this, then, at least for me, like when I would hear that, I would immediately, because I'm super selfish and a special snowflake, I'd be like, well, fuck that. You don't know how I feel. But if I talk from my perspective, it kind of like, oh, what is his perspective like? And then people kind of try and find ways to see how they resonate with my experience. And I go, oh, okay. Like, oh yeah, actually I felt that way before. And I don't know, it just works better. People just understand faster. There's less resistance. So anyway.
I've noticed for me, I don't find myself catching too many things like I have to, I get to, I need to. Like most of those have been course corrected already. But the thing I catch myself on now is trying to do exactly that, right? Like if I'm talking about something, especially in talking about this kind of stuff or anything that's been in my experience with this kind of stuff, like focusing on me and my story rather than, even if it's like a royal we or a royal you, trying not to do that anymore.
Well, what's the problem with using words like need and have to?
Well, it's just not true. Like I don't have to do anything except eat, sleep, and breathe, and even those are negotiable. So it's just for me personally, it creates stakes that are just too high.
Why don't yeah, there we go. That's what, and now we're getting to it. And what are those stakes, right? So if when I use words like need and have to, what generally happens?
Yeah, if I don't go do those things, whatever it is I'm telling myself I must go do, there's a lot of shame and guilt involved with that.
Well, what does the word need imply?
Yeah, if I don't do it, I'm gonna die.
Right, that's what a need is. Like, so let's actually look up like need. Let's see, need definition. Sure, Google that. So yeah, require because it is essential.
Yeah.
Essential. And so, and it's great because the noun, so circumstances in which something is necessary or that requires some cause of action, necessity. And then the example they give is the basic human need for food. Right. And what happens if I don't eat?
You're not well.
Or
you're not
breathe.
gonna feel very good. Yeah, you're
Right.
eventually
Over extended period of time. Right. Exactly.
You're
Over a
gonna-
certain period of time. If I don't drink water, if I don't breathe, right, I'm gonna die. So in my experience, using words like have to and need elicit that lizard brain response, survival response. And it's very subtle. And then when I use it frequently and I practice using words like need and have to, it kind of upgrades in severity with less and less important things. So
Yeah.
it's like, and everyone's experienced this with the guy who always prefaces emails with like exclamation point important.
Yep.
Or any alerting system, right? Where it's just like, this isn't fucking vital. This isn't essential. This isn't important. This isn't an emergency. There's no need or have to here. Those are big words. And and if I start using them for stuff that isn't really life threatening, then me getting a medium instead of a small coffee becomes the need, right? And then I have these outsized responses like we talk about in the last resentment I think we did for those in the big and the small episode, right? So and that's one way to train myself in a way that to have these outsized responses to really, really small things.
Yeah, man. I yesterday morning I was feeding my dog and I put salmon oil on her food.
Nice. From what?
It's much like fish oil is supposedly good for humans. It's supposed to be really good for their coat and their joints and stuff.
No, I mean like you just had salmon lying around and you had extra
like
oil, or like it's a supplement.
It's a supplement. It's like a oil pump that you just pump onto her food. And I go to do it, and I drop the bottle, and the whole thing of salmon oil explodes on my hardwood floor. So it's like I don't know, 6:37 in the morning, and it's just like, instead of this, we talked about before about that YouTube video or whatever it is, the commercial the guy drops his McDonald's and kicks the bag and freaks the fuck out. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go clean this up now. And so I just sprayed it with some Lysol and wiped it up and got on with my day, and it was fucking fine. Now my hardwood is very, very shiny. So
in that one spot,
in that one grease-ridden spot.
Well, what that sounds like to me is like it's just time for salmon oil across the whole.
I'm gonna actually get on my hands and knees and Mr. Miyagi it. Just wax on, wax off.
Well, now that you do have that shiny spot, are you going to get like oil treatment for your wood floor and do?
I probably will do something, yeah, just to get it evened out a little bit. But it was just one of those things, right? It's like I know not that long ago that would have set the tone for my entire day, and what would have felt to me very negative subjectively. And it was fine. I had a great day.
It just wouldn't have felt very good throughout the day. It would just put a negative tone.
I would have walked by that spot every time and been like, you piece of shit, you dropped that. God damn it. My floor is ruined. It looks terrible. And there was only a couple moments like, it smells like fish in here. Yeah. I don't love that.
Well, and it's okay. It's like I don't want fish oil out of my floor, right? I don't want fish anything other than like in my mouth, basically, and like even in the garbage can, I don't want it in there for too long. So it starts to I don't want it in the microwave in the office, right? So
oh god, yeah,
it's okay. To not want certain things around. It's just I don't have to carry this stuff around with me. So look, it's a minor it's an inconvenience. I now, if I don't want this smell or I don't want this spotty shininess on my floor, I now have to go do things that I did not plan to go do.
Yep.
But they're minor inconveniences, right? And so, and I think we've all experienced where a minor inconvenience has totally fucked with my head for the whole day. And it's a lot easier to deal with these minor inconveniences, right? If I'm not just generally on fire all the time, right? If I wake up and I turn over and I pick up my phone and I start reading the news, and then it's like these fucking politicians, and that's my first thought coming up, and then I'm having my breakfast.
Man. It's your duty as a citizen to be informed.
Oh, and I'm tired from the previous night from like scrolling through shit before going to sleep, and I'm just already tired. I make my coffee, and then I have a donut for breakfast, and it's like, that was delicious, but then my blood sugar starts to crash immediately, and and then build and build. I'm having trouble coming up with examples now because it's just like I haven't like lived in this way. It's so long. But it just and then I'm dreading going to a job that I hate, to get on and like get into my car to start this 1.5 hour long commute to go get a job so I can make money to live in this place that I can't really afford, and I'm just kind of a slave to, because I'm living beyond my means. And it's just like, dude, if any part of my day there's something that I did not expect, I'm going to have an outsized reaction, because it's not a reaction to this one particular event. It's a reaction to the stacking of events that I haven't dealt with yet, which is why the resentment inventory is so great. It's an analysis. Like, a business that does not regularly do inventory, right, will soon go broke. And it's the same thing for us spiritually, if you want to use that word, or emotionally, if you want to use a less charged word. But I don't take this inventory and this stock, I am not aware of what routine thoughts are dominating my life. But once I start taking inventory and become aware of them, it's very hard to continue living in that way for any extended period of time. Right? It's like the reason it's so easy to overspend with the credit card, right, is that the money is not like, the debit does not happen in that moment. Like, if I have $1,000 in my hand, right, and then I shell $700 of that out for an Xbox or something like that, it's a very different feeling than taking out the card and deferring it for later.
Yep.
Right? Now, that's what I love about YNAB, is it kind of like spins that all on its head. And for anybody who doesn't know what YNAB is, it's a budgeting software. That sounds super boring, but it's actually a complete game changer. Totally check it out.
YNAB for me is top 3 to 5 tools in my toolkit now.
I mean, I can't speak highly of what, like, we're all about here on Feeling Good, about like attacking the root cause of things, and the root cause is generally the way I think about something.
Yep.
And YNAB is like, we're actually explaining it right now. So, so that time, like that instant, like, okay, I can swipe, I don't feel it, I defer the payment to later, I'm not actually feeling it right now in the moment, is very similar or analogous to taking stock of my thoughts and emotions that happen frequently, and becoming aware of them. And how is that analogous? It's like, well, once I start becoming aware of these patterns of thinking, which aren't really working for me, they generally lead to immense amounts of suffering. It's just like shelling out that $700 on something that I really can't afford at that moment in time, or is kind of outside of my budget at that point. I can feel it. I can feel me making unskillful decisions, way more so than just blindly following wherever my my gut at that point is telling me to go do. I put gut in quotes because I actually really trust my intuition, and that's a really valuable thing. But I think we've all been in a place where our intuition is telling us to act in one particular way, and then there's some other thing that goes, fuck all that. I'm going to do this, which I know is quote unquote bad for me.
Yep.
But you seem like you wanted to say something for a bit, so I'm going to let you.
No, I think you pretty much covered it.
Okay.
Pretty much a nail on the head there, sir.
Because when I say like awareness is like 90% of it, that is the other 10% is also super important too. But it's like once the eyes open a little bit into the power that these thoughts have, it's very difficult to go back to the other way of living. And that's not to say like we just walk around and skip around all the time and it's all like rainbows and unicorns and cupcakes all the time. But for the most part, it actually kind of is. It's like life is chill. It's really not that bad. It's really fantastic. It's really, really great. And if I'm not feeling great in that particular point in time, there is always something that I can look to in my life, always, no matter where I was, even in my most bottom of bottoms of bottoms in life. There's always something I can point to and look at and appreciate. Just start building momentum into that other direction. Yeah. I do that enough times, breaking the cycle and get some emotional freedom, which is what we're doing. So yeah, man. So your routines, let's get after it. I'm sure not much has changed. I'm sure anyone who's been watching this thing is probably sick of your routines by now. They're like, why don't you switch it up, Jordan? But yeah, I'd love to hear what you're doing.
Yep.
On a day-to-day. So yeah, what does your general day look like for you?
Yeah, general day looks like starting the day with journaling, big surprise, and pick a story that works really well. I've circled back. I actually shouts to Kellen, right? Is your other dude's name?
Yeah, Kellen. Yep.
Shouts to Kellen for mentioning circling back on the Deepak meditations, because I picked those back up again. And I use like the daily story that he gives is kind of the starting for my journal too.
Yeah, it's great. We don't have to reinvent the wheel, man. There's tons of folks who have been like, whose whole job it is to like do this stuff. And like, I don't have to come up with this all on my own. There are tons of resources and I don't need to, it doesn't make me any like better or worse at this thing. It's like, I've stolen everything. Like none of this is mine. None of it, man. Continue.
Yeah. So I start the day with those and I write down some appreciations, answer a couple of very leading questions. We've talked about those before, but just as another recap, it's like something that's setting myself up to think about things in a way that feels really good.
Well, the way I like to describe this for other folks, and sorry to cut you off, and
yeah, you're good.
Anyone who watches this is probably like, man, I wish Andrew would just stop fucking cutting Jordan off every once in a while. But sorry, folks, this is not the way we do things here. I'm sorry. I like to give examples of this in the opposite direction because I think people do the opposite stuff way more frequently. Like, I'm sure we've all like fucked up on something and it's like, well, why am I so bad at this? Or why am I not good? And it's like, and then I don't feel very good, right? So I was like, well, what if we turn that on its head and ask other leading questions? Or it was like, why am I so awesome at this? On the thing that I'm generally really awesome with, right? I don't have to be faking it, right? You can, right? You could totally fake it too if you want to. Fake it till you make it on this kind of stuff. You can. I find it resonates way more with stuff I'm already like good with. So if I have like a big hang up about my body or something like that, I'm not going to go and start with my body generally. And I can if I want to, because generally my first response is like bullshit. So I like to start with stuff that I'm like already feeling really good about. And then if there's a day where I'm feeling kind of good about my body or something like that, and then, okay, go ahead and swoop in and start doing it there. And that can build up on itself. Continue. Like with programming and stuff, I felt like a complete dumbass some days. I'm like, I thought this was going to take like an hour and it's taken me 3 days. Like, yep. I feel like the dumbest human being that has ever lived.
Yep.
And then there are times when I hop into a problem like, I don't know how this is going to work or how this does. And then I get into it. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
And I feel like a fucking genius. I'm like,
There's nothing better. And we all like the 5 or 8 pointer off the board, and you're like, this is going to be pretty hard. And then you get in, and it takes 2 hours. It's you feel like you have superpowers.
Yeah, those are just like no one had the context to point it. So they're like basically those 5 and 8ers are like for anyone that is listening that's not a programmer, it's like when we say a 5 or 8 pointer, that just means hard. We think it's going to be hard. And what that generally means is like no one knows how that part of the code base works.
Yep.
And then you get it. I was like, oh, this is actually not bad at all.
No.
Yeah, sometimes I make a point of doing the 5. Like if it's a scary story, sometimes I'm like, I'm gonna go do the 5. I'm just gonna, even if it's like 4 down, I'm like, I'm just gonna do this just to see because I don't know this part and it's scary to me. And then sometimes I don't. I'm like, I don't fucking feel like dealing with this. I don't want to own this right now. All right, continue. Routines.
And then I get out of bed, do a couple of like my PT exercises, just get my body moving, limbered up a little bit. Shower, do my meditation, which right now is the Deepak Chopra stuff. Make some breakfast, eat that, do a resentment, take Hattie for a walk. And then usually work starts at that point whenever I get back. Work for a while. Normally would go to like jujitsu or the gym sometime around the lunch hour, and taking that a little bit easy because of this guy. And so I went and worked out a couple times, didn't go to jujitsu at all. I went and watched class one day, which was super fun. And yeah, then I come back, work some more.
You watch jujitsu and I watch Dota. Like,
yeah, I go on YouTube and watch, like, there's a couple of like the world-class dudes, and I just will watch them for hours. It's so interesting.
MMA guys or jujitsu guys?
No, great jujitsu guys. MMA is cool. Like, I think it's awesome, but the level of technicality in jujitsu, I think, is so much higher. It just can be when you're not worried about someone smashing your face in while you're doing shit.
Yeah, it's a problem.
And after then I work some more on a break from school right now, which I haven't decided if I'm going to finish or not, or do any more school of. Because, dude, it's like, it just, for me, it became this thing of like, I'm only doing this to check a box. I don't care about this at all.
Yeah, it's generally like not a good reason to do it.
No.
And so I feel the same way. I felt the same way. I was in a master's program for computer science, and I'm like, this isn't even like none of this, like this isn't even it. This is none of the stuff I want to learn. This isn't interesting to me. Et cetera. And I'm just doing this to, again, check a box to feel like, oh, then I'll have this like status of some kind. I'm like, nah, I'm good.
For me, it's just the Japan thing. And like the more research I do, I think there's ways around that. And I don't even know if that's where I want to end up forever. Right. Like, I've been thinking a lot recently about, and I'm going to deviate slightly from my routine to inform you about this thing, and then we can return.
We make tons of like, this whole thing is not like so here's the purpose of the routine talk. One of it is to check in and see like, okay, are the things that we're doing like working for you? And to see how it evolves. But really they're a jumping off point for these deviations.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of them. That's why they exist.
Yeah.
That's why I include them.
That makes sense.
Your deviation is actually the purpose of them. So go ahead and deviate.
Yeah. And now I don't know that oh yeah. So like, I've been thinking a lot about lately how you've said a few times when we talk about travel, like traveling is awesome. It's dope, super fun. But your sensation usually upon returning is like, man, I'm so glad. Like I fucking love being at home. I'm so glad to be back in my pattern, in my routine, and having my things and all that. And I've been feeling that a lot lately. It's like, I love where I live. I love the things that I get to do when I'm around my house. For the first time in my adult life, like, have a pretty deep community of people that I'm really excited to be around. And I don't really feel the need to throw that.
Who are those people?
Yeah.
What group is this?
So some jiu-jitsu guys. Namely, there's a dude, Ben, and his girlfriend, Sarah, I hang out with all the time now. They're like just cut from the same cloth. They're fucking amazing. And they let me third wheel with them everywhere we go. It's great. And yeah, I've got lady friend is too strong of a word, I think, but there's a person in my life who I'm very thrilled by.
Oh, a
Enjoy
lady
being
friend. Oh, really? We took 30 minutes to get into the lady friend category. Oh, very nice.
Yeah, dude, I've known her for a really long time. We were friends in college. And I think it can best be summed up in like, so there's this band I really like called Milk Carton Kids. It's like a folk duo, and they're both English majors, very, very nerdy. Very few people would find their brand of humor amusing. And that is, in fact, putting my brand of humor on a pedestal to all the people who do not find it amusing.
Oh, yeah, your hipster comedy. Get it. Got it. Great. Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It feels very special. And, but there's very few people in this world that I can share certain things with, music in particular, that I feel like.
I don't want to make that true at all. So
Well,
that story just sucks balls. Anytime there's like, I'm going to just create scarcity out of nowhere in my mind.
That's a good point.
Fuck all that nonsense.
That's a very good point. Thank you for calling that out.
That's why I'm here, man. Continue.
The way I'll phrase it instead is, it's really, really exciting for me to have someone in my life that I can share this stuff with and have it hit the mark.
There we go. Great word. Very different. Same exact outcome, like same exact thing, both true. One is way better, in my opinion. But actually, I won't even say better. I'll say more skillful.
Yeah, feels better.
Skillful way of putting it. Great.
And yeah, man, she's fucking awesome. We got.
Do you see the distinction? Like,
oh, totally. One is there is not enough. I am uniquely special in this way that sucks. And
exactly.
Wow, I'm so lucky I have somebody to share this stuff with. And not only do I have one person, I'm sure there's infinitely many people with which I could share that and have it resonate with them.
There's it's the uniquely special, like, doesn't like, and then in the suffering kind of way is a great one. It's like, oh, like, and then any solutions that come, like, that are proposed, like, won't work for me, right? Because I'm some special person that has these unique problems, which, you know, I suffered from that as well. Like, uniquely depressed. No, I was just a dishonest, selfish asshole. Like, that was it. It's nothing unique about it. There's plenty of those people on the earth. And so deal with the selfishness and the dishonesty, and then, oh, okay, well, there we go. And full of fear as well. And I was like, oh, okay, wow, that's pretty interesting. Deal with those things, and then everything kind of takes care of itself. It's kind of nuts.
Yeah, it's insane. It feels so much better. It feels so much better.
It's so I say that, so for everyone who's suffering out there, it's like, man, no one is feeling the way I'm feeling. I'm not trying to make light of your suffering, although I kind of am at the same time, because it's not that bad, I promise you. At the end of the day, no matter how deep it is, it can get better, in my experience. And because I thought the suffering would never be over after experiencing it for the better part of 10 years. So where was I going with that? I was trying to give hope to folks that are out there that are feeling pain, and then I lost it. Whatever. Continue with your meeting a lovely lady.
Yeah, and we spent a lot of time together this week, and it was fucking awesome. I shouts to my therapist. She's a hero for a lot of reasons, but namely, we had an appointment on my birthday this week, and I showed up, and she had asked me what my favorite dessert was at one point. So I showed up to because they're in person again, showed up to therapy, with a card and a donut waiting for me. So I ate
Nice.
donuts with my therapist and talked about my feelings and stuff. It was awesome.
Nice. Happy
Yeah.
birthday, by the way. How old are you?
26.
26. Oh man. Oh, so we're almost 10 years apart. Almost exactly.
Yeah, almost exactly.
That's crazy. Yeah, dude, you were crushing it, man.
Even trajectory wise, almost 10 years apart, right? Because you've been doing this for about 10 years, right?
I would say I'm doing this kind of work like uh I'd say 8 years now at this point. This kind of work, and then I started looking for a solution to like being super fucked up in the head like 11 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, it was really really cool week in that regard. Because I'm a self-absorbed asshole, like many people, determined it's my birthday week. It's not just a day; it is a week. And
Hey, my girlfriend takes the whole month except for like we have the same birthday month. And so she gets every day but the 6th, which is my birthday. So a week is reasonable to me. Some people take the whole weekend, right? So depending on where their birthday sits. So yeah, a week's fine. Why not?
Yeah, it's fun. And it was so cool, man, to just have like to really feel kind of the outpour and the appreciation for people reaching out and just like well-wishing another year, celebrating the year that we've had. Felt really, really good.
It's nice to feel loved.
Yeah, man. Feels really good.
Nice to feel loved, man. It feels good.
And yeah, so it was a really enjoyable week. And then
well, I want to tie this into you like in like your desire to go to Japan, all that thing. It's like it's interesting to me that as your community, as you're starting to find like your people, and you're expanding that, like the desire to go out on some adventure somewhere else in this other place outside as the solution is kind of diminishing.
Yeah, it's like I look at pictures of Japan, I see stuff, I talk to my Japanese instructor, and like there is definitely some part of me that wants to spend time there as frequently as possible, but I don't know that it's not a solution. There's a place in my heart that feels really good about being there, but it's not any different there than it is here. Well, it's objectively different. My potential.
Well, it is literally a different place. But what I think you're getting at is like anywhere I go, there I am.
Exactly.
Right? And it's like I knew that I like some of the worst that I was back in New York State and upstate New York. And then I was like, okay, let's make a locational and we'll move to Denver, Colorado. And then if I just clean slate it there, then I'll be fine. And then 3 weeks later, the demons just show up again. I guess they have they got a ticket, but they were back up or something, I guess, at the airport. I don't know. But 3 weeks later, boom, there they were. And I was like, oh, I could be a piece of shit anywhere.
Yeah, man.
It's so true. It's really true. It totally, and the good news is the opposite is also true. So if I'm fucking crushing it and being awesome, anywhere I go, it's going to be that case. No matter where I go. New company, new town, anywhere. I can move around, be fine. Be totally fine.
Yeah, we talk about this all the time, right? But I think I've definitely heard other people, and I've definitely thought the same thing, right? It's like if I change my environment, if I go move, like I'll be out of the patterns in the boxes and the people and everything, and I'll be able to start new. It's like much like other things we talk about is putting, I think, in my experience, the cart before the horse, right? It's like we haven't actually solved any of these things yet. And the place is just a different, I don't even know what I want to say. It's just, we haven't addressed any of the root causes yet. So the place may or may not do anything.
Well, eventually I'm going to fall into my old patterns of thinking, which will lead into my old patterns of behavior eventually, if I don't take care of the root causes. I can go to people do this with rehab all the time, right? You go to this sanctuary, there's no drugs, no alcohol, and it's this nice little environment, and you're there for 3 months. And then, and then I go back to my old environment and there's a relapse, right? It happens all the time. And so there is something to be said about switching environments. Like if I'm hanging around with a bunch of like, my objective is to like wake up earlier in the mornings and be more productive or whatever. And I'm hanging out and 90% of the people I hang out with are club bangers or whatever. Right. I'm probably not going to be successful in that. Right. So I can definitely change my environment. I am the average of the 5 people I spend the most time with. And I am the average of the media that I consume. Those are the average of my thoughts. So I can switch environments, but that's only a start and a beginning. If I do not, so like what, let me ask this question. This might help elicit like an understanding for other folks. I'm sure you already get all of it. Is like, what drew me to those people and those situations and the consuming of that media or whatever it is in the first place, right? So you transport me to a new place. I am going to, with my current understanding of the world and perceptions of the world and thinking of the world, be drawn to similar scenarios and situations. Yeah. Unless I deal with the root causes. So I can cut them out. It makes it easier to build momentum in another direction and start improving or changing or shifting my life in some way. But it's not the solution, right? I'm not solving it. I haven't fixed it.
We use the fitness out analogy a lot, but this is something that I've had come up a few times. And so you go to lift, right? And I get to my quote unquote heavy set, or like the big boy weights, getting excited. Very different experience. Like, I would throw on my Iron Maiden. I would like slap myself around. I'd get all amped up. And then like, I'd finish that set. And I had this like in my body, this feeling of like, my eyes felt like I had just woken up and slept like shit. Like I just felt heavy and tired and angry and sad. Versus now, like I go lift and I get to like these, like the heavy set, and the approach to it is almost meditative, right? It's like the reason and the attitude towards the thing that I'm doing has shifted so dramatically. I finish and I feel better than when I started.
Well, so why were you lifting before? What's the difference?
Yeah. I was lifting before purely for aesthetic reasons, and like training the way I thought I was supposed to.
Well, what's wrong with lifting for aesthetic reasons?
There's actually nothing wrong with it.
Well, for you.
Yeah. For me, there's lots of traps there.
Like what?
Like if I don't do this, I'm a piece of shit. I'm going to get fat. I'm not going to look the way that I want to. Other people aren't going to like me. I'm not hardcore enough. There's like no reason that I'm better than other people, like yada, 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 yada. And now the main reason I do it, A, it feels really good. B, I like feeling strong. And C, it makes me way better at jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Like might even be jiu-jitsu as the primary.
That's fine. I love that. It's in service to this other skill that I'm trying to develop. Yep. Totally. We
haven't even gotten to Shelby yet. But
I know. Saving
her and I talked about, like, dude, and I know you already know this.
Well, who is Shelby first off?
So Shelby appeared on one episode of this podcast as well for other people who've checked it out. But Shelby is a nutrition life coach. I think she refers to herself as a mind-body specialist is her like official diagnostic of what she does. But used to be a competitive or professional bodybuilder. So we have that background in common, which is kind of what I was looking for, is like someone who has the unique lens of understanding that background and then dealing with this kind of stuff.
Yep.
But dude, that lady just has something that I want. It's no different than like when you and I first started working together, right? Like there's something she has that I want, and she communicates it in a way that makes sense to me. But that whole like introductory call that we did, I love the questions that she asks around, like, you know, obviously there's the intro stuff of like, what are your bottlenecks? What are the things you don't want to be feeling anymore? What do you want to be getting rid of? But what I really loved is this, like, kind of vision setting at the end, right? Of like, if you were to not have these things anymore, or even if you still had them, but what do you want your life to look like? What do you want? What are you wanting?
Great question.
A great question. And
If only someone would ask that question to you.
several people do, including myself now. But it definitely didn't start that way. That's not like, when I asked myself that question, I came up with answers that didn't actually feel very good in the past. And now what was really cool, really like amazing to me about that is I had a really clear picture in my head of what I wanted and what I'm wanting. And
well, why don't you tell us what that is, man?
yeah, there's a couple of like what feels like 2D things or 3D things, but I know for me would dramatically shift my day. It's like, I don't want to wake up and have the first thing I think about be like food or what I'm going to have for breakfast that day or what I had yesterday or what I'm going to be allowed to have today. What do I have to do today? And so when am I going to go work out and like plan my food around it? Like all these mind games, right? And I don't want that anymore. I want to like ultimately the end all be all is I want to feel good, right? I want to feel good in my body. I want to feel good how it moves. And I want to be excited about the food that I'm eating and the things that I get to do rather than it be, I watched the first training video. I guess that's what I want to call it, but it was the in charge, not in control one. And going through the like overeating cycle, restrictive eating cycle, and then kind of the instinctive eating cycle, right? And
yeah, TLDR of the overeating cycle and restricting cycle, which I think anyone who's ever been on a diet ever knows what that cycle is like, all right, I'm overeating for some reason, whatever that reason is. I have something, then I'm like, I don't like how that felt. And then I go into planning mode of like, how am I going to make up for eating that much food? And then that manifests itself in whatever way. And it's like, all right, the diet starts tomorrow and it's all keto or it's all paleo or it's all fucking Atkins, whatever the fuck it is. And then I do that and then I restrict my food in some way. And I do that for however long it is. Maybe it's 30 seconds, maybe it's 2 months, maybe it's 2 years. And then I blow it out on the other end. And I go back to the overeating again as a response. Because we're fucking mammals who are just meant to eat food.
And we're meant to eat food without all these arbitrary rules in place. And
bro, it's like, it's got me thinking, it's like, who the fuck created these standards of what my body is supposed to fucking look like? It's like, fuck you, okay? First off, am I morbidly obese? No. Am I obese? No. Other than that, like, is my health at risk because of my weight? No. Fuck you. And there's a great article by the Renaissance periodization guys.
Yeah.
And it was like, what is like the right body fat percentage? And they were like, if you're a dude, as far as health is concerned, anywhere from like 10 to 23%, and you're fine. You are fine. Don't worry about it. Everything else is aesthetics.
Yeah.
I was like, really? So I was like, I thought you had to have a full 6-pack in order to be healthy. I thought if you did not have a fucking full,
you don't have ab veins,
you're a fucking piece of shit garbage who's gonna die of heart disease. And and I read that, so I was like, so the rest of this is just basically an opinion. It's like, I'm like, oh fuck.
Yeah, dude. Proof is in the pudding for me. This week I did 2K row just because I hadn't done it in a while. I wanted to see what my time would be.
The best, dude. The most in shape I think I ever was when I did the Aerobic Monster series. That was almost entire. You can do it with an Airdyne or with a rower. And I followed that, dude. I followed that it was only like after 3 weeks. I would go back into my regular like HIIT and I was blowing my workouts out of the water, just destroying them. I was like, it's one of those workouts where I was like, am I counting these right? Like I thought I was cheating. I thought I was like cheating and skipping rounds, and so I was like, nope.
Yeah.
Yeah, the rowers fantastic.
It's fucking insane. And the last time I did a 2K for time, I got a good time. I did 6:48 last time.
I don't know what a decent time is on the row, like on a 2K.
Anything under 7 is really good.
Because I only do, I like don't do more than 500 meters on the rower because I fucking hate doing anything longer than like 1.5 minutes. Anything longer than that on the rower, I'm like, I don't want my ass is chafing. Like I have no desire to continue. And I like the rower, man. It's like I'm 6 feet tall, so it's like I kind of got a little bit of an edge over other people on the rower. So, and it's like half of the rower is rest.
Yeah.
But anything with a fucking flywheel, I'm like, fuck you.
Aerodyne can suck my balls.
What's that?
The Aerodyne bike can suck my balls.
Fuck that thing, man. That thing, there's no rest. It's all working. The harder I work, the harder it is. Yeah. It's like, fuck all of this. Like, if you want to leave this and you want to feel like you've done an hour-long workout in 60 seconds, just do the 1 minute test to get as like max calories burned in that 1 minute. Dude, by second, if you're actually going all out, by 30 seconds in, I wanted to stop. It was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And that's only halfway through. And then nothing, like what's longer, like a microwave minute when you're waiting for something that you want to eat, or like it's like multiply a microwave minute by like 30. And that's what it's like to be on there, every second ticking. By second 45, my legs went from like being on fire to like, they were now numb. They still hurt, but were now numb.
Yeah.
And then at the end, and I'm like, you know this already, but then at the end, my throat and lungs from breathing so hard and so fast were just chafed and on fire. And I got off, fell on the ground, and I could breathe, but I couldn't breathe at the same time. Like that's how much I didn't want to breathe because it hurt so much. And I just started coughing and profusely. And then I felt like I had worked out, and then that stayed with me for like the whole day.
The last jiu-jitsu tournament I did, I felt like breathing was like that for like 3 days afterwards. But I shared that story only because I am like aesthetically in.
You look good, man. You're good. Yeah. You look good. You look like a fit dude. You look like a dude who works out. You're a fit dude. At every point of that guy, he clearly works out. You're a fit dude. Yes.
Not a bodybuilder anymore. That's how I'll phrase it. And I don't want to be. But like when I was the picture of health, that rowing time. So I did it in 6:38 this time. So I beat my best time by 6:39.
By picture of health, you mean full bodybuilding mode.
Right. I did that. That was the last time I did a 2K row, and I literally thought I was going to die. And this time I finished that, and I'm like, that was fucking fine. It actually felt really good. I could do more.
Didn't go hard enough, man.
Yeah.
Didn't go hard enough in the paint, dude. I do find it very difficult to get to that same place when I'm not fueled with not enoughness. It's very difficult. It is really hard to go like, all right, I got it, fucking no pain, no gain, bitch. Like, suck it up, motherfucker. Like, it's very hard for me to get to that place now. And so someone who's listening was like, well, then how do you perform? I don't know, by just consistently doing it over, like things that feel good over and over and over again. That's how I do it.
That's a really great story. It was actually on the Tim Ferriss podcast, but he was interviewing some super successful dude, like he always does. I don't remember who it
Fucking
was.
can't stand his podcast. I
Yeah.
cannot. I can't stand Tim Ferriss. But anyway, continue. I
The
don't. It's
story-
not like I should rephrase that. I don't have an issue with Tim Ferriss. He's fine. I just don't like his approach. But anyway, continue. We don't have to get into my own with Tim Ferriss podcast.
But the story I loved was it's this like type A hyper performer.
Yes.
Does the same bike ride every single morning, and
Mhm.
that normally takes him like 47 minutes or something like that.
Yep.
And he woke up one day, he's like, you know what? I'm just going to do this ride to enjoy this ride. I'm not trying to beat my time. It's not a workout. I'm just going to do it. And he did it in 44 minutes.
Yeah.
Did I not start my, what the fuck just happened? And, it's just like, that was a big proof is in the pudding moment for me, right? Like it doesn't, that like fifth gear of like beating myself into the ground, kicking myself in the dick, just all it does is hurt. And I usually do worse than I would have if I had just showed up.
Look, it's totally fine. Like if you want to go that route and you want to be the top 1/10 of 1% in your category, and that's what's going to get you there, I don't want to dissuade anyone or convince anyone to not go do that. Go do that. Then we wouldn't have an iPhone. I'm fine with that. I have different goals. Yep. And my goal isn't to be the best anything. My goal is to be content and happy in my life. Genuinely. And consistently and sustainably. That is what I want. I would argue that's what most people want. And they think that in the achieving of said goals and attaining of said things, that's what they will get. And the reason I would want them to go pursue that is so they could, and go as hard as you can. It's go and get those things and go get as many of them as you can so that maybe you can come around to thinking the same thing. There was Sam Harris had somebody on, and he was on another podcast. I forget his name, but he's a doctor of some kind, but he's like a doctor, PhD, fucking triathlete, fucking like
Peter
what?
Dia.
There we go. Okay, yep. And he was on Tim Ferriss.
Yep.
And he's talking about all this crazy shit he's doing. He's like, I take like these ketones, and this is how I prefer, and like just going like fucking balls to the wall. And then he's on Sam Harris like 3, and I was like, I can't listen to this guy. I can't listen to him because his motivations are not jiving with me. And then he's on Sam Harris like 3 years later. And he tells this exact story that we've just told. And he's like,
Yep.
I was doing all this stuff. I'm like, why the fuck am I doing all that? I'm trying to go get something. Yep. And I'm not getting it from accomplishing all these things. And that thing is a sense of well-being.
Yeah, absolutely. He started his own podcast, Peter Attia did. And the first episode is Tim Ferriss. And the first episode is Tim Ferriss saying the same thing. It's awesome.
I'm really happy that these guys have kind of went really hard in the paint with looking outside of themselves for the contentedness, and then have been like, oh, that's not where it's at. And I think just my bottom or my floor was just much higher than theirs was. Like they just had like they're like, we need like tens of millions of dollars, and mine was like, I had a house, had a wife, had a car, had all the things, had a cool sounding job, and I was like, why am I still miserable? And I had that feeling at 22. I was very fortunate. 22, 23 years old, I'm like, why am I still absolutely miserable with my life?
Yeah, almost the exact same timeline for me. I started asking different questions around 23.
I'm like, it's clearly not these things that make me happy. There's clearly something else. And that's why we're here. And we don't have time for resentment, sir, which is okay. Not everyone needs to be a resentment inventory, which is totally fine. We had a lot of stuff to talk about. And so you're full on working with Shelby now?
Yeah, our first call is on Tuesday.
Okay.
So I did my intro video and like watch the lesson I'm supposed to watch this week. Then we'll get into it, and we're doing 8 weeks, which I'm excited, man. I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be a good time.
What else you got for me, dude?
What else do I have for you? Just in like cool shit, I got a stand mixer, and
A stand mixer?
it's the fucking best.
I don't know what that is. I don't know what a stand mixer is.
It's the thing that you every single person ever puts on their wedding registry because they don't want to buy for themselves.
It's a kitchen thing?
Yeah.
Okay. What is this? I still don't know what it is.
It's basically, instead of like the little hand mixer for beating shit, it's here. I'll show you. It's one of these.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I bought it in this super nifty matte black. But anyway, it's the fucking best. I made my own burger buns yesterday, and
Oh my God. All these fucking bakers in the fucking pandemic. I love it. Trying to make their own shot. Dude, it's great. That's awesome. I'm just busting your balls.
And that's just like, that was something that was cool to get clarity on with Shelby in like what are you wanting, or what do you want food to look like for you? And for me, it was like going out, and I think this might be similar for you. Like going out to eat for me has never been a problem. Like there's like a sacred box around dining out that just always feels really, really good. And at least like not going to like Chili's and getting like actually going and like
a real restaurant. We're not talking about we're about fucking Burger King.
But one of the things that was cool is like I want to bring that home, however I can do that, or at least pieces of that home.
Yep.
And that was really clear to not only have the clarity around that's what I'm really wanting, right? Because I have this this marker that I can look towards and be like, okay, not every moment of every day with food is like this. You have experiences that feel really, really good. What are those like, and how can you bring more of them home or to your day to day?
That's a great strategy. It's like looking for the windows of time, because a lot of the time the story is this is the way it is.
Yeah.
And that's not the whole picture. Even when I'm suicidally depressed, seemingly all the time, I could probably point to moments throughout the day where I did not feel that way. And so looking for those gaps and being like, okay, well, what was in those time periods? What is in those weird windows of time? What am I doing? What am I thinking? Oh, well, can I do more of that? And that's not a complete solution, right? We're still not dealing with the root cause, but what that does is help build momentum and makes it easier to reorganize and reconstruct my thoughts. Because it's way easier to start reaffirming thoughts when I'm feeling okay than when I'm feeling like absolute garbage. It's very, very hard when I'm already on fire. It's very tough. Very, very tough. Cool, man. Well, what do you think we should title this episode?
Oh, I don't know.
I think I made a mistake by starting with titles. I'm just like, I hate titling these things every time, like, because we talk about so much different shit.
Yeah. Man, I don't know. For me, it just feels, I have the sense of like coming together or clarity right now around here's what I'm really wanting out of my life. Here's the things that I want to be asking for. And they're showing up. Imagine that. It feels pretty clear to me right now. And that feels really good.
That's why I plant the seed, Jordan. I plant it early on. That's what do I want? Ask myself that question. What do I actually want? And I know that like the answer to that is I want to feel good. I want some well-being. Fantastic. Okay, great. That's the baseline. That's the North Star. Fantastic. Let's get more specific now. Sweet. All right, brother.
All right, my man.
Anything else?
That is all I have for you today.
All right, man. Later.
Peace.